Imtiaz Gul is the executive director of the think tank Center for Research and Security Studies. He joins us from Islamabad. Imtiaz, thanks for being with us. I want to get, first of all, your take on this attack today. It was warned, it was foreshadowed, but still it comes as such a blow to these operations that were in their final days, people desperate to leave while they could.
Yeah, this is an extremely heart-wrenching, tragic incident that has happened, but the equally intriguing as well, because the way the Americans had forewarned about an impending explosion or an attack really smells rat. You know, if they knew something like this were to happen, so the question number one is, how did they know about it, and how could they straight away link it to Daesh? Daesh, we really have to think, whoever is talking about ISIS-K or Daesh, I personally can say, based on the past 15, 20 years of experience, that all these groups are just instruments of terror, agents of chaos, and they are being used for particular objectives. This is really, perhaps a ploy to tell the Taliban that the evacuations will go on as the Americans and its allies want, and that the Taliban should not meddle with it if the evacuations go beyond August 31st. This is the only plausible explanation that I can offer, just because we had been told by President Ashraf Ghani, by his national security advisor, that there are 20, 25 terror groups present and operating inside Afghanistan. But one questions as to what do these terror groups want to achieve? Do they want to occupy this country, seize power, which obviously they cannot? There is no method whatsoever in this madness except creating chaos, killing people, and then making the entire country unsafe and uncertain with only one objective: create instability. And I remember when the Americans started peace deal talks with the Taliban sometime sometime in 2019, and the whole year we were watching in awe, in disgust, the massive big explosions across Kabul as well as elsewhere, in which innocent people were being killed. And 90% of these blasts or attacks were claimed by Daesh. And I think this is a group about which former President Hamid Karzai had also spoken. He's on record, probably on Google, we can extract that statement from him, in which he had spoken about white helicopters, unbranded, unflagged, transporting armed people from one place to the other. So this is quite mind-boggling as to why on this particular day these terrorists would target, particularly because yesterday the American Foreign Secretary basically conveyed to the Taliban in a very superpower style that the evacuation of the people who want to leave Afghanistan, evacuation of all the allies, will continue even beyond the August 31st deadline. So I'm quite intrigued by what has happened. I'm really heartbroken for the people who have lost their lives, heartbroken for the people who have been unable to get onto the flights, equally heartbroken because what we have seen since August the 15th is a deliberate brain drain by the United States and its allies. They have sucked more than 100,000 people since August the 14th out of Afghanistan. Most of them are intellectuals, educated
Imtiaz,
people, a lot.
these are people who wanted to leave Afghanistan. It's hard to blame the U.S. for extracting people somehow by force after 20 years of war. But help me understand, you're saying that you think this attack today was some sort of ploy? Like what kind of ploy? Describe what you think.
Well, the ploy is basically that the situation is still very dangerous. So people should stay away from the airport, and that perhaps, this is just I'm theoretizing what could be behind it. Otherwise, there is no plausible explanation for what has happened. Why a terrorist, would come out to take dozens of lives. There is no method in this, and particularly when there is no government in that country.
Yeah, or potentially to send a message to the Taliban that they are there and they will retain some power. All right, Imtiaz, thanks for joining us.